Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to another exciting Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants broadcast. If you're joining us for the first time today, which quite a few of you are, we are all about bringing conservation, adventure, and science into classrooms around the world, and everything we do goes to our YouTube channel. So if you want to check out this program in 3 weeks or 3 years, or like 4,000 other broadcasts, you can head there and do just that. I'm so glad of all the days that you're joining us, you chose today, because we are right in the middle of our epic month solely showcasing the most amazing women in science on planet Earth. I think we're going to have 40 broadcasts by the time this month is done on everything from like earthquakes to cool weird ants yesterday to like deep sea biology. It's been an absolutely wild ride. Everything's on that YouTube channel, so there's so much to explore and discover. Before I dive in with our topic du jour, I want to make two quick notes. Number one, we have a Kahoot today. So between our talk and our Q&A, if you want to play along with a little 4-question quiz to test your understanding, have some fun, you can pull up that game pin below, keep it extra interactive. And two, this is the most wistful my dog has ever looked. She looks like she's waiting for her partner to come back from the wars behind me, which is kind of fun through the window. Never a dull moment in broadcasting. For all of you here, I'm so excited you're joining us. We are going to dive in on one of my very favorite topics with my very favorite creatures. We've got a lot of animals this month, but today we are diving back in with belugas, and particularly the day in the life of a marine biologist with Justine Hudson. She's going to talk about some of her adventures to some of the coolest, literally and figuratively, places on planet Earth, and then we can't wait for all your questions. So without further ado, for I think like the 7th, 8th time, we just can't get enough of Justine. Justine, welcome back to the broadcast. So nice to see you again.
Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here today and getting to chat with all of you.
I know you have a lot to share with us, so I'm going to zip it. You are good to go. Presentation's up. Let's dive in and do this thing.
Awesome. So hi, everyone. My name's Justine, and I'm a marine biologist. And today I thought I would talk to you a little bit about what I do for work. So I work at a place called Fisheries and Oceans Canada, and I study several species of marine mammals that live in the Canadian Arctic. So I study killer whales, bowhead whales, narwhals, ring seals, walrus, and beluga whales. And as a marine biologist, one of the things, or the way that we study marine mammals, is we need to know about them to make sure that we can protect and conserve their populations. So we need to know things like, where do these animals live and where do they migrate? We need to know how many animals are in a population. We need to know what they eat. We need to know if they're healthy. So do they have any diseases or are they stressed? Those are the kind of questions that we ask. And we also need to know if their environment is safe for them. So we do this in many different ways, but a lot of the times it involves us going up to the Arctic. So I do a lot of work in Nunavut. So every summer we go up and we set up camps like this. So this is an example of a camp that we set up. I think it's been 2 years now. So we'll sleep out in tents and we'll be right near the coast so that we can be as close to the animals as possible. And yeah, I just thought this is a cool photo to show you what our camps look like, because I know that a lot of people go camping, wherever you are, but this is what our camps look like up in the Arctic. So one of the ways that we study marine mammals is by flying drones. And I just have some photos of some of the drones that we get to fly. And when we're flying drones, we collect videos and photos of animals. And I'll show you a video here. And we can get a lot of information from these images. So for example, we can use drones to figure out how many animals are in a population or in a group. We can use photos to look at their body condition. So are they nice, healthy, fat whales in this case, or are they really skinny and maybe sick whales? And then we can also look to see, look to see how many babies are in the population. So we'll fly the drone around and count how many young whales in this example versus adults that we see. And I'll let this video play out because it's a very cute video. So this is a little baby bowhead whale that we saw a few years ago. So if we see a lot of young whales, that usually tells us that the population is doing pretty well, because that means that mothers are healthy enough to have babies, and that increases the number of animals in the population. So it's always good to see. We can also use drones to take photos of, in this case, beluga whales. and look for scars or identifying marks. And we can then use these marks to identify specific whales and see if those whales are going to the same locations year after year. So this is a beluga that was seen in 2017 and 2018. I can't really see. There we go. Yeah, and 2018. And I think that this whale was seen for a few years since then as well. So this tells us, one, that this animal is visiting the same estuary year after year after year. And it also gives us a sense of how big the population is, because if we have a lot of individuals that we can identify, we can get a sense of how many whales are in the population as a whole. Oh, now there we go.
There we go.
So we also use airplanes to study marine mammals. So we will go up in these small planes called twin otters and count whales from the sky. And this gives us a sense of how many animals are in a population. So we'll go out and we fly these things called transects, which is basically flying back and forth in lines over a certain area. And then we count the animals that we see from the plane. You can see one of my colleagues in this little bubble window, so she can like really look down to see if how many whales she can see. But we also have cameras in the planes that are taking photos over the entire survey so that we can look back on the photos after to also count how many animals that we're seeing. So here's an example of what those photos look like. So in this photo, we can clearly see two narwhals. So there's one over here and one over here. And then in the top left corner, there's clearly something there, but we can't quite make out what it is. But in terms of the two narwhal that we can see, they are white in color, which tells us that these are adult narwhals, because narwhals turn from a dark gray when they're younger to a brighter white color as they get older. So we can tell that these two are adults. And then if you look really closely, they both have tusks as well. So for narwhals, most of the animals that have tusks are males. There are some females that have tusks too, but we would say in this instance that these are most likely two adult male narwhals. And then here's another example of a photo. So in this photo, we have four narwhals. We have one that's a white color, so we know that there's one adult, and then there's three that are darker gray. So in this photo, oh, and I should also say that this adult here does not have a tusk. So we would say that this is an adult female, and then we have three juveniles or calves. And I don't really see any tusks on any of these, but they could be really small because the animals are so young. So we would just say that that's an adult female and then three juveniles or calves. We also fly surveys to count seals. And we usually do this in the winter time because seals spend a lot of time on the ice. But as you can see, it's really hard to count seals from airplanes because they just look like rocks. So in this photo, I don't know, I know I can't hear you, but just in your head, you can start or think about how many seals that you see in this photo.
Looks like about five or six, Justine, I would say. There's sort of a blob there.
And then this photo is an infrared from an infrared camera. So this helps us see heat. So by this photo, you can kind of see that there's at least a few animals in this photo because they're giving off heat. If those were rocks and not animals, they would just be black or like a blue color because they'd be cold. And then if we overlay those two photos, you can see that they kind of overlap with those rock shapes that we're seeing on the ice. So we can at least say that there's a few seals here. It's still quite difficult to count seals from surveys, but this gives us a better idea of how many, at least groups of animals we can see. So we've talked about drones, airplanes, and now we're going to go even higher up and talk about satellite images. So I know that some of you probably do have cell phones, so don't do this now, but you can show your parents or your friends this later. If you have an iPhone and you go to the Maps app and you look up a place called Cunningham Inlet and you zoom in as far as you can, you will see this.
So cool. I love it.
Cool. So those are belugas. So you can see belugas from space, which is really, really cool. So now we're using satellite images to count whales to help us get a better idea of how big some of these populations are. Satellite images cover a way larger area than survey planes or drones can. So this is a really nice way to count whales in really big spaces. All right, so we've covered kind of the aerial aspect of how we study marine mammals, and now I'll move on to some other techniques that we use. So another way that we study wild marine mammals is by collecting tissue samples from them, or just samples in general. And this is an example of us collecting snot samples from beluga whales in Churchill. So I'll play the video in a second, but essentially we just take a petri dish on a pole and we put it over the blowhole of whales as they come to the surface to breathe. And as they breathe, they actually blow out some snot, which we collect on that petri dish, and then we bring it back to the lab and we could do a bunch of different analyses on it. So I'll play this video so you can see what that looks like. And I will say here that Churchill is a very unique location because the whales do follow the boats. This doesn't happen anywhere else.
But it's pretty amazing that it happens there. Like, it's totally wild. I just love it. Oh.
So then we can use these snot samples to look at a few different things. So we can look at genetics. So that gives us information about what sex the individual is. So we can tell if it's a male or a female. We can look at hormones to look or to tell us if the animal is pregnant or not pregnant. We can also look at stress hormones to see if the animal is stressed. And that helps us figure out if something in the environment is stressing the animal out. And then we can also look at things like diseases to see if the animal is sick. So we can get a lot of information from just this single sample. And then another thing that we do is tag whales. So this is a suction cup tag in the top left corner here. So it has suction cups on it, similar to what you would use like to stick things on to like the shower. I don't know if that's a thing. I feel like I age myself a little bit when I say this, but back in the day, shower racks used to be stuck to the walls.
Yeah.
And I don't know if those are used anymore, but these tags have those suction cups on them. So essentially you slap them onto the whales and they stick on for a few hours. And this gives us information about like where the whale's going, how deep it's going. Some of these tags also have cameras on them so you can see what the whale is seeing at the time, which is pretty cool. This video does not show us successfully getting the tag on, but it shows you the idea. We have this long pole that's weighted on the end so that it's easy to kind of maneuver. And the idea is that you would kind of hit it onto the whale. But like I said, we are not successful in this video. The whale doesn't come up to the surface, unfortunately. And then we also put on other like different types of tags that last a little bit longer. And this gives us information about where the whale is going over longer periods of time. So here's an example of some of the data that we can collect. So the whales were tagged in I think July, if I'm not mistaken. And then you can see their migration, the dates on the top. I know this video goes really quickly, so it's hard to pay attention to everything that's going on. I'll play it again just so that you can see. So this is the summer, and you can see that the bowheads are all feeding in this area here. And then in the fall, they migrate, and then they spend their winters in Hudson Strait over here. So this gives us a really good idea of, what are the important areas that, this is bowheads, I should have said, like what are the important areas that bowheads spend their time in and what are they doing in each location? But yeah, that's all I have for you. I know that was super quick, but yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Amazing. Well, first and foremost, thank you so much, Justine. If you want to come out of screen share so you can see us again, have a bit of a conversation, we're going to begin with our Kahoot. See who is paying attention, test your understanding, and what you win for winning the Kahoot is Justine and I's everlasting respect. So we're going to dive in with that, and then we're going to dive in with all our classes for questions. If you're on YouTube, you can start sharing them immediately. Live classes will be with you in just a few minutes, but let's start with this. If you're new to Kahoot, the faster you answer, the more points you get. So here we go. I hope our winner is like a named, because they're all animals. It's like a beluga or Arctic name of some kind. Sometimes that happens for me. Makes me very happy. All right, question 1. Multi-select. There's going to be more than one right answer. Beluga whales can be found in the waters of which countries? Canada, the United States, Mexico, Antarctica. What do we think? It's at least one. So it's 2 or more. Could be all 4. Could be 3. What do we think? And maybe when we're thinking about one of these countries, we're thinking about a specific part of it that is very far north. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Of course, I hope you all get the one. And I want to say, your Cunningham Inlet photo, like I've done a lot of broadcasts, that really has stuck with me from the very first time you shared it. It's so cool that you can see whales from space. Like
I know it's my party trick. Everywhere I go, I show people that video because it's like something, it's tangible. You can see it on your own phone.
I love that our answer here broke down this way because we've got a few people who picked the United States. So Alaska, yes. Canada, yes. A lot of you thought Antarctica. So Justine, they're not down in the South Pole. That's nope.
No.
A lot of the creatures that are in the north or south are only there. Polar bears are only in north. Penguins are only in the south. That's a big thing that trips people up. So I love that we got that. All right. One of the best ways to find belugas is from the air. True or false? Easy one, hopefully. I want to stress, so you talked about Churchill. I've been to Churchill in August, like peak beluga season. And when you're flying in on the commercial airliner, like to land at the airport, you can see them clear as day. Like they're bright white. They almost glow from the air. Like they're so cool.
It's so cool.
And what's nice too, we got a polar bear program next week, a couple of polar bear programs on Friday, actually. And a lot of people go there for that. And I saw a polar bear in Churchill and it was super cool, but the belugas was so much better. Like it's amazing.
I agree. I think that the belugas is a cooler experience in my personal opinion. I could be biased though.
I mean, but biased in the right way. You're surrounded by whales. You can hear them through the boat. Like it's so awesome. Anyway, Focused Piranha has our lead, followed by Terrific Honeybee. Let's see. True or false again? Belugas have no natural predators. Does anything eat the beluga? What do we think? Wow, answers hard and fast in this one. I want to highlight as my hint that one of the creatures we were just talking about occasionally does take belugas, which is, again, one of the freakiest things in all of nature. Your hint that a polar bear can capture a whale and drag it out of the water and eat it is on film many times, and it's as freaky as you can imagine. 50 of you in the Kahoot. I love it. We haven't had one this big in a while. All right, one more second, and then we're going to our final question. Oh, look at the split. Justine, does anything else eat belugas other than polar bears?
Killer whales will, if they have an opportunity.
Killer whales will eat everything. They hunt blue whales. They hunt great white sharks. They are the wolves of the ocean. Very, very cool.
Sometimes just for fun.
So, not for the thing they're eating. Multi-select. What are some of the adaptations of belugas? Echolocation, thick blubber layer, white skin, elongated tooth. And maybe the elongated tooth, I don't know, maybe belong to something else. It's also pretty cool up there. But I want to see what we think. Anything that echolocates to me just blows my mind. Like anything that has a sense that is so beyond human ability to understand is really cool.
I agree.
Yeah, to see with sound is like magic. So cool. Yeah. You guys nailed this one. Way to go. Maybe one of them has an elongated tooth. Very charming. Let's see our leaderboard, and then we're heading to our environmental leaders for our first one. Elementary virtual school, you're next. And then YouTubers, you guys are sharing a whole bunch of questions, and that is wonderful. Lucky Hedgehog is second, and first for all the marbles is Focused Piranha. Thank you guys for playing along with that, and congrats to all of you. We're going to head to Miss Trent Pleasure's class. Come on in, unmute your mic, and you can take us away with a first question. Hey, guys. Decisions. Hi.
There we go. Hold on. They're making their way.
They're making your way. No hurry. We're good. We got Justine was fast. We got tons of time. We can hang out. We can chill. Right. Hello.
All right. Hi. So, hi. I am Kayla from the HELP program, and I was wondering what you actually do with all this information once you gather it.
That's a great question. Okay, so This is a great question. How do I put this in a nice, succinct way? So we gather all this information and we'll take health data. So like how healthy the animals are, how many individuals are in the population, how many babies are being born every year, how many animals are being eaten by like say killer whales every year. And we actually put this into something called a population model. And it spits out a number to tell us how many animals are in the population currently. So we take all of this information that we gather and then we put it into the model and then it spits out a number for us so that we can kind of track how the population is doing over time.
Fantastic. Thanks, Justine. We haven't got that question in a long time. It's so nice to have grade 10s every now and then because you ask very different questions than everybody else. So I appreciate that immensely. And we will be back for more. Our elementary virtual school friends, come on in and take us away. Hey, 4, 5, 6s.
Hi.
Hi.
They're just in a virtual meeting. So our question was, sorry, I'm just trying to, they're typing and, okay. Do you find that beluga whales are migrating somewhere else? And the other part was, are they healthy or are they sick and have diseases?
Oh, that's a great question. So there are a few different beluga populations across Canada. Most of them are doing pretty okay. Like the ones in Churchill, for example, are doing great. Their populations are good. We're not seeing any indications of diseases or anything like that. There are other populations that aren't doing as well, and we're trying to figure out why they aren't doing as well. The St. Lawrence belugas are an example of whales that are in this really busy estuary, or in the river, I should say. And so there's lots of shipping activity. There's lots of pollutants that are in the water. So those whales aren't doing as well, but there's a spectrum. Some are doing well, some aren't doing as well.
Yep. You're going to hear this in the polar bear program too. It's a very similar situation in which there's like some populations that are doing great. They're even increasing. And then there's quite a few that either we don't know or are going down quite a bit. I think it's surprising to a lot of our classes, certainly was to me as a kid, to learn that there were belugas in the St. Lawrence River. Like if you go just past Quebec, there are beluga whales, which is, wow, we've done some really cool programs on those before. So glad we brought that up. Thanks, guys. All right, so many questions from YouTube, so we're going to do a round with all of them, and then we're coming back to all you live groups. Miss Riddle's class is in Nova Scotia, and they want to know, have the trackers ever been eaten by an animal, or do the trackers fall off and get lost? What are some tracker fates, Justine?
Yeah, the trackers do fall off, especially the suction cup ones. So the suction cup tags are really interesting because they pop off and then they float, and we have to use this tool that pings. So we like boat around with this thing that will ping when it detects the tag. So we have to actually like boat around to try to find it once it pops off. I don't know of any being eaten personally, but I'm sure it does happen.
Good. I don't know if they're that delicious to anything, but maybe if someone just snarfs one down. Cool question, guys. All right, Katie wants to know, she's in Nicaragua joining today. What's the biggest population of baby beluga whales you've seen? So has there ever been like an all-time best nursery time or what?
Oh, that's a really great question. So we did some research in an area off Somerset Island, and that was an area where it seemed like for every adult beluga that you saw, there was a baby with it. So there was tons of babies. So it was definitely a calving area, which was really cool to see.
Yeah, how nice is that? What a fun thing. I've never been around a big population of babies. I've got to seek that out one day on one of my travels, I think.
Yeah.
All right, Mr. Boyd's class, welcome in. Guys, man, all my favorite classes are here today. How long do narwhals and belugas live? Do we have a life expectancy?
Great question. So we think that belugas live to around 70 years old, and we think that narwhals live to 120-ish years old.
Yeah.
So they're quite long living.
Yeah, I mean, I want to stress for our classes because people are used to like people life expectancy, which is like 70, 80. That's really unusual in the animal kingdom. Like there's very, very few things that live as long as we do, and whales are one of them. So I like that we know this too. A lot of creatures, we don't know how long they live. Yeah. So the fact that we have that knowledge is super cool. Thanks, Justine.
No worries.
Right, environmental leaders, we're coming back to you guys. Come on in, take us away. Hey.
My name's Chelsea. And I was curious, like you gather the information on like their migration patterns. What do you like, if like the spots they're going, how do you like keep up on it? Or like you have the information, what do you do with that information to like almost like better the areas?
Yeah, that's a great question. So As you can imagine, if we have tags that last, say, a few months to a year, it takes a long time for us to even get that data. So we could put that tag on today, but we have to wait a while to kind of gather all that information and all that data to be able to use it. So it takes some time to be able to use it, but then the goal of gathering this information is to see where the animals go so that we can make sure that the areas that they are traveling to, that their environment is doing well. So we want to see if they're being affected by shipping, for example, or if there's any issues with their food ecosystem in the areas too. So even though we're looking at their tracking data, we're looking at their environment within those areas too, to kind of make sure that those areas are safe and healthy for them to be in.
It's a great answer.
I hope that answers
it
that
does.
question.
Well, and I'm really glad you mentioned shipping in particular, because we've done a lot of whale programs on a whole bunch of different species. And one of the easiest things that we can do as a society to help protect whales is just, if we know that ships are in areas with whales, they can slow down. And if they slow down, the amount of dead whales goes way down. And we know this from years and years of research. And we've started to implement this in a really big way on Canada and the US's coast. There's room to do more, but it's a really big and easy thing that we can do to help protect marine mammals. So I'm really glad we got that question. Yeah. Thanks, guys. All right, elementary virtual school folks, come on back in, and you're up for round 2.
Hi. Okay, I'm going to see if you can maybe hear the students. I'll just try quickly. Okay, June, do you want to try asking your question?
Wait, but I have.
Okay.
Wants to work. It's really faint.
So she's saying, if you can tell the beluga whales are stressed by their blow, do you know how to make them not stressed?
Nice question.
Great question. I guess it depends on what is stressing them out. So for example, if it was shipping that was stressing them out, we would try to figure out what about the ships are making them stressed? Is it the noise? Is it the speed of the ship? Is it just where the ship is? Like, is the ship in an area where, there's calves and moms and calves that are resting? So we haven't gotten to that point yet where we are trying to not stress them out. We're still at the point where we're trying to see if they're stressed. But if we do find a stressor, we would try to improve the situation for them to reduce their stress, if that makes sense.
Yep, that's a great answer. And I mean, we have this, and again, pretty much every time we're monitoring animals, we're trying to not have an impact ourselves as scientists or as conservationists, certainly. But beyond that, anything that we can do to help protect, make sure the area that they're in is good, we're going to keep coming back to this, I think. So thanks, Justine. Man, so many questions on YouTube. You guys are crazy. I love it. Okay. We've had a variety of this because we had a program last week on AI for nature, like using scans of lots of images of animals where there's a lot of them, and it's hard to count, and using AI to do that. Have we done that for belugas in any way that you know of?
Yeah, so our teams are using AI to look at those survey images. So we train them, like humans will go on and identify the whales that they can see, then they'll train an AI model to find those same whales. So we are training AI to look at whales from photographs, but of course it is a little bit tricky. So in the narwhal photo that I showed, where there's those 3 darker narwhal, like the contrast isn't quite there. Like humans can see it, but I think sometimes the computers have a little bit of a harder time differentiating between the dark blue water and the dark gray whales. Belugas, I think, are nice and easy because they're so contrasted from the water, but narwhals and bowhead whales are a little bit trickier.
It helps when your whales shine, for sure.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. We had Ms. Riddle's class wanted to know, where is it? There we go. Is there an advantage to flying in the Twin Otter versus using drone footage? I'm really curious about this myself.
Yeah, there is. So right now we are limited with drones because they can only fly so far from where the controller is. So that's how they're connected. So you can only fly like maybe 2 kilometers max from whoever's flying the drone. So you are limited in how far you can fly. I think that as technology advances, I think that we'll have access to drones that can, fly further, but also have longer batteries to fly further too. And we're limited by batteries with the drones as well. So I would say as of right now, the Twin Otters are definitely better because you can fly over way bigger distances than the drones, and you're not limited to like batteries and that kind of stuff. So as of right now, we still use twin otters because they're better.
I want to stress, because the classes won't have the context for this. The Twin Otter is a Canadian plane. It actually makes me swell with pride. It's like the ultimate plane. Whenever scientists need to do really cool stuff in the middle of nowhere on a plane that's held together with duct tape and a prayer, it's always a Twin Otter.
Twin Otter. It always is a Twin Otter. Yeah.
Everybody loves them. Like, I've never run into anyone who's like, these are terrible planes. Like, just they'll land anywhere. They'll do anything. They're awesome. They're indestructible. They're great.
Yeah.
All right. Some other great ones from YouTube, and then we'll head back for one more round with our live classes. Mr. Boyd's class wants to know, how long can a beluga stay underwater?
Well, they live underwater all the time, so they're always underwater, but they can hold their breath, I think, for up to 20 minutes.
Wow.
So it's quite a long time.
Quite a long time. I think the record are like sperm whaley things where it's like 2 to 3 hours, which is crazy.
Or like beaked whales, I know, can hold their breath for a really long time.
First of all, thank you so much for saying beaked whales. Like, almost no one even knows beaked whales exist. Everyone should look up beaked whales. We know almost nothing about them. They're super freaky. Some of them look really weird. That's your homework for the day, is to go to beaked whale when you're done. All right, Miss Howell's group wants to know, so you find out an ecosystem is stressed or unhealthy. What can you do? Can you move the whales? And this is a really common question. Like, could we move the whales somewhere better? Would we even want to do such a thing if we could?
So I would say that we probably wouldn't move the whales, but we would try, if this is something that's, for example, human caused, I think we would try to improve the situation. So shipping is a really common example. So, if there's ships in the area, we can ask them to slow down. And by slowing down, that means that they're not as noisy. So we can decrease the amount of noise that's being introduced to their area. We can get them to slow down, which means that they're not getting hit by whales as much. So like, those are some things we can do. We could even ask if shipping companies could change their shipping lanes. So if there's an area that's really important for these whales and we're finding that they're really stressed, we can maybe ask shipping companies to avoid specific areas so that the ships aren't going through these really important environments for the whales. So there are things that we can do in some cases. I think when it gets trickier, when it's something that's not necessarily human caused. So yeah, I think it's a case-by-case basis, I think.
That's a great answer. And it's one of those things that, like, from the shipping company's perspective, like, what great PR. We did a slightly thing. We cost ourselves a little bit of money, but we saved a whole bunch of whales. Like, it should be a win for everybody. And increasingly, it seems to have been the case. So I'm really glad we got that. Thanks, guys. All right. Elena has got a bit of a savage question. How many times will a killer whale try to kill a beluga whale? What do we think?
That's a great question. Probably a lot. Like, if it has an opportunity, I would say it would probably until it's tired.
Like, the beluga whale's only recourse, really, if a killer whale wanted it, is to go into like a really sheltered inlet where it could hide and the killer whale couldn't make it because the killer whale's bigger. Killer whales are very crafty apex predators. Basically, when, like, you can actually see great white sharks in areas on the California coast, and you'll see them start swimming away really fast, and then like 10 minutes later, a killer whale will come by. Like, everything is terrified of killer whales.
Everything is,
Cool question, guys. All right, we're going to do one more final one with each of our live classes. So our help environmental leaders, come on in and take us away. Hey.
I'm Rebecca, and I was wondering if you have seen like impacts from pollution and climate change and like their migration patterns and their like health.
Yeah.
That's a great question. So I think I got this question the last time I did this, actually. Have I seen any impacts myself? So climate change is very broad, but we have seen impacts of shipping. So for example, in narwhals, we've seen that their stress levels go up. So there's an area in Nunavut where there's a lot of shipping happening. And we've noticed that the narwhals in that area have higher stress than they used to before the shipping really increased. So even though it's shipping, it is kind of related to climate change because the ships are coming into the Arctic more because of climate change. So that's a direct impact that we have seen.
I want to stress, that I'm so happy that we live in a world where people monitor the stress levels of other animals and that we care. Like that does not need to be the case. And the fact that we do that with a lot of different populations of a lot of different creatures and try to mitigate that is really, it's a profound bit of hope, I think. So thanks for that question, guys. You guys rock. All right, elementary virtual school, we're going to head to you for a final question. I want to note too, if you're keen to follow up with more, you can email me extra questions. I can pass them along to Justine. And the thing we've been recommending to all our students all week long or all month long is ifthenshecan.org, which is the best resource highlighting amazing, awesome women in STEM of all time. So can't encourage you to check that out enough. There's so much there. But elementary virtual school, we're going to come to you for one final query. Hey, guys.
Okay.
Thanks.
I'm
Okay.
going to ask two of my classmates. So my question and then one of my classmates' questions. So her question is, do beluga whales fight?
Do they fight? And what's the second question?
No, do they bite?
Oh, do they bite? Okay.
Yes to both.
Yeah.
Oh wait, is that both questions, or is that?
Do they fight and do they bite?
Fight for dominance. Like, do they fight each other for dominance?
Like a pecking
That's a
order of
great
whales.
question.
Yeah.
So we don't know if it's for dominance, but we have seen belugas fight. So we often see on their bodies like these almost like rake marks, and they're from other belugas' teeth. So they'll open their mouths and kind of bite each other, and then the whale will swim, and then you'll have these like long, almost looks like claw marks, but they're from teeth on whales. So we do see that on belugas quite frequently. And it could be play fighting. Like, is it actual fighting? We don't know, because it's hard when you're looking at this. Like, if it's a drone video, for example, it's hard to know if, are you just having fun, or is this, like a dominance thing, like you guys had mentioned. So it's really hard to interpret what we're seeing, but we definitely do see those types of interactions where whales have their mouths open and they are kind of fighting each other.
What a savage.
And I will say
answer.
this is a cool little thing that we saw a few years ago. We saw narwhals and belugas interacting with each other, which we think that actually might have been fighting. It seemed more aggressive than just play fighting.
Raking something with teeth is a particularly savage way of fighting something, and I love it.
Yeah.
We got a great question. I'm just going to sneak this in at the end because it's a question we always get when we talk about narwhals in particular, and I know we didn't focus on that today, but why do narwhals have tusks? Do we know? What's with the tooth?
That's a great question. I don't know why, but they do use it for like stunning their prey. So they'll use it to hit a fish and then eat it. We think that there's also, what's the word for it? Like, they use it to kind of show off so that males that have really big tusks are more impressive for the females. So we don't know exactly why this evolved, but it is useful for them in some way. So, but it is super cool.
I love that we stumped the expert. Like, this is a really big ongoing question. We keep finding out more and more about it, but it's a really cool adaptation for a really neat creature. And there you go, Elena, that can be your thing to study when you get older.
Exactly.
Justine, this has been so much fun as always. Thank you so much for joining us during the big special month. Before we say goodbye with everyone, is there any final message about marine mammals, about belugas you want to leave us with today?
This is always such a hard question for me to answer, but I just want to say, if you love science, just go out there and do it. It's such a fun job, and I hope you guys had a great time here today. You asked such amazing questions.
Such amazing questions. You guys are particularly great audience. I've got to say, don't tell the other audiences. Like, you're particularly good one today. So thank you, everyone. If you have any more, please do email us. We'll send a link with some extra stuff in a minute, but have a wonderful day. I'm going to bring in our classes and say goodbye. Have a nice day, guys, and we'll see you all soon. Thank you so much.